Today's guest is a fan favourite, Miss GB, Natasha Jonas. How are you, Natasha?
I'm good. I'm thinking about changing my name to Miss Worldwide now. I'm in good spirits. I'm in, good place. I just want to know when I'm fighting next. I think that's every fighter's thing. You just want another date. And I want to try this year to be as active as I can.
Yeah, nice. So for those that don't know, I don't know if there would be anybody, but obviously you fought last Saturday. Is it last Saturday now? A
Yeah,
week ago against Katie Taylor for the undisputed lightweight crown. And unfortunately, you come up just a tiny bit too short. But firstly, congratulations on your performance. I mean, have you had a chance to have a look at it back, seen the scorecards, formed an opinion?
yeah. There's still some things I can hear Joe screaming, "Throw the uppercut," that still haunt me now. Um, but yeah, I'm happy overall with my performance. There's always tweaks. You're always your own biggest critic. The scorecard, like, it's a little bit mad because you know I've accepted the result. I'll say I accepted it. That it is what it is. Can't change it, and you just move on. But there's rounds that I thought I won quite clearly that I didn't, and then there's rounds that people were like, oh, towards the end, oh, that's lost to the fight, when actually in reality it wasn't. And yeah, it's just, I think it's just the consistency with the scoring that annoys me the most, because you get, when I fought Harper, it was like, oh, Harper won rounds because she was the more active fighter, but you was landing the bigger, cleaner, harder shots. And then Katie Taylor fights Bassoon, and then it's no, the person that wins is the one that throws the bigger, cleaner, harder shots. And
Yeah.
then I fight Katie, and it's like, no, being active. Oh, oh yeah, and then so I fight Katie, and then it's like, oh no, it's being active and putting the pressure on that scores you the round. So it's hard to know what the judges want really. In
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I totally agree, because when you look at the timeline on Twitter, I was reading the same sort of thing, and you kind of go, well, okay, well, I don't know what to do. I can't win. Is that the kind of feeling that you get sometimes?
Yeah, it's just I don't know, how you get combat that. I don't know whether I know in amateur that we all have this judges meeting, or we don't go to it, but the coaches, and
Mhm.
the judges tell them what they're looking for
Mhm.
and how they score about. And I don't know if something like that needs to happen with the judges that are going to be judging the pro fights, because it's hard to know it. You'll always be a certain type of boxer. I know I'm very accurate. I know I'm quite powerful. So, I wouldn't change my style as such, but it would be better to know in the kind of background how to approach a fight, if that makes sense, because you've got an idea of what they're looking for. Because right now, one week it's something, next week it's something else, and you just don't know how like this weekend, I had Billy Joe level after eight.
Mm.
You couldn't have argued if someone would have said 5-3, yeah, maybe. But me personally, I had it level. And then there's people like, he didn't win a round, and I was like, what are you
What?
watching? I know. So I'm just like, I don't know. And it's that diverse that obviously everyone's got a different opinion. So you can see how people opinion and judges' opinions do vary, but
Mm.
sometimes for everybody else it's quite clear, and still the judges' scorecards don't add up to what the general consensus is. So it's hard to know as a boxer, and how to approach a fight, and how to apply tactics and stuff when you don't know what the judges are looking for, because it changes from week to week.
I think the difference is, on the amateur scene, there are a lot of judges that are also coaches. I know that I took my judges course so that I would know what to do when I was a coach or when I'm coaching. And I think there has to, like you just said, have to be some sort of consensus, a real review of the judging in professional. I don't know how you get into it, but there
Yeah.
definitely needs to be some sort of review. I mean, your scorecard was 96-94. 96, 95, 96, 95. Does it hurt even more to lose a fight when it's that close?
So it's a little bit of both, because if I would have got a draw, I would have lost my mind. Another draw, I would have totally lost it. And I don't even say that lightly. I would have absolutely gone ballistic. So in like trying to take the positives, it might be best for my own sanity that I did lose, even if it was by a point. And yeah, the fight was close, and there's other things that I can work on now to get better. But like, I think for my own personal sanity, that it was probably best that I did lose, because if it would have drawn again, I would have kicked off.
The roof would have been coming off.
Yeah, Eddie would have got it.
I think people would pay money for that, to be fair. But listen, talking about before the fight, so Joe was saying that he feels like Katie is slowing down a little bit. She's had some tough fights. There was a lot of people that were thinking the same sort of thing. Then you're talking about as the rounds go on, you kind of get better and stronger. With hindsight now, the first 1 to 5, I felt that you were possibly waiting for her, not waiting for her to tire, but your game plan was to come on stronger in the second part of the fight. Would I be correct in thinking that?
I think that just happens naturally. I think always the first round or two is always going to be cagey. And you're throwing things to see how people react. So by the time 5, 6, 7 comes, you know how they're going to react, because you've thrown it for 5 rounds. So I think subconsciously it happens like that, but you get into a rhythm, you become more relaxed. Me first like thing was to just keep it tight and like not let it get away with anything too major. Obviously you never want to knock down or anything like that, but like just like just and I think I wouldn't say I give it a little bit too much respect, but like I was wary that a barrage of shots could come. So I was kind of waiting for it, and was going to have an answer, but it never actually quite came until later on as well. So when we both relaxed and we both got into a rhythm and we both let our hands go, that's why there was, well, especially for me, I think round 3, I think 6 and 8 were good. So
I totally agree. I think from both sides, you were saying you're wary of the barrage of sort of shots coming your way, but I equally feel that Katie possibly, obviously I'm not in her head, but possibly was like, okay, she's coming with something. Maybe wasn't expecting you to come on as strong and meet her. And I think that made her kind of wary, because when it got to the latter part of the fight, she almost switched another gear up. And I think it was that tiny switch of gear. So you both had stepped up. But were you surprised that she wasn't slowing down and that she stepped up that extra gear in the latter part of the fight, as in the last 2 rounds?
I think that for me personally, I think that was just a little bit of championship. Well, for her, sorry, it was championship experience.
Yes.
And for me, showed a little bit of lack of it, because she knew what she needed to do to just nick it. And obviously now in hindsight, that's where I didn't have the experience to get onto that. So that, like, again, like, I said it, or if I get the chance like a half of that, would never happen again. And I stuck to that. I stick to that. I stick by that. That will never happen again, because every fight you learn, there's something new that comes up in a fight that you learn. And for me in this fight, it was that, when it comes to them, them championship rounds, you have got to be smart about it. You are both a little bit tired, you're a little bit fatigued. You've took a little bit of punishment. I had about 72 different lumps in my head at the end of the fight. And it was just, it's just championship experience. I think that was just lacking on my behalf.
It's funny because before the fight, we did a ladies' day, and I think it was Louise Alton that was saying, the last fight, Katie was going back in straight lines. She needs to sort of switch her game plan up. And then all of a sudden, against you, she started working them angles. It was like, no!
Must have heard her.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was...
Yeah, I think we could have that fight, you know, and 9 times out of 10 it'll be the same, because our styles just mix. And Katie is someone, she's got, even though as great as she's done as a professional, she's still got that amateur mentality. Is when you hit her, she needs to hit you back, and you can get it into like a kind of tussle, because that's the way your mindset is. Oh, I've lost the point, I need to get it back. And you can draw it into your fight, especially if you start like not manhandling them, but you know what I mean. If you start, so yeah. But as I say, smart, as far as smart goes, she's up there with the best. She probably is the best.
Yeah, in terms of like before the fight, after the fight, there was an incredible amount of respect between you and Katie. I mean, do you just hold her in higher esteem now? And I guess that, you know, reading and watching what she said about you in the afterwards, she totally compliments you and your ability.
No, yeah, I think I always said, like, you know, she's been someone I've looked up to since the moment I got into the international scene. And I remember everybody, the whole, you know, everyone that was taking part in competition used to be like, you need to watch this girl from Ireland, Katie Taylor. And everyone used to stop, watch it, and then everyone would disperse and go wherever they were going, because that's how much of an aura she had from then. But I also did say, in the ring, she will have to earn that. She won't just automatically get it. And you know, she did do that, and I knew she would. And I was said from the start to finish, the best version of her and the best version of me makes a good fight, and that's what we brought. But you know, we've known each other for a very long time, being on the amateur circuit together, now the pro circuit together, and we have got nothing but respect for each other. There was like a few things said, and I think that people took them the wrong way, that I was being disrespectful or that Joe was being disrespectful, but it wasn't meant like that. It was just like, you know, we're just kind of saying it how it was. There was nothing. Katie knows that I'd like never be disrespectful. I wouldn't do that to anyone. I would never, you know, big myself up by knocking someone else down. So
yeah, there seems to be a lot of criticism towards coaches when they talk about tactics. Surely a coach's job is to see, you know, the positives and the negatives and the weaknesses and the things that you can expose about an opponent. Isn't that their job?
100%. And I think, you know, Joe gets a lot of stick, but for me, I think he's really clever, and people that know him or, you know the sport are onto what he does. But people that are like maybe novice-ish, or, you know, don't know the sport, just take it as he's being disrespectful, or he's, you know, he's this or whatever, and don't like it. But sometimes fights can be won before you've even stepped in the ring, and boxing is 90% mental and 10% physical. And when I say that, people are like, but it is. It really is. So, you know, when I went to especially in the Harper camp, there was a lot of pressure on, you know, this is Tasha's last chance saloon, and, you know, this is, you know, where does she go from here if she loses? And then Joe stepped up, said some things about Terry, said some things about Steffi, and all of a sudden it became a triangle between them three, and I was out of it. So there was no pressure on me, because no one was talking about me for the whole fight. They was all talking about the beef that Joe and Steffi had, and every now and again with Terry. So then the pressure became on them and their camp to prove what they were saying.
True.
And it was off me, because everyone was like, "You're going to lose." I was like, "Okay, we'll see." And that's all I could say. I was like, "Okay, we'll see." And then they had to prove everything. You know, they were saying she's too old, she can't make the weight, she's this, she's that. Okay, well, you have to prove that, and we're going to knock her out. Okay, we'll do it.
So yeah, talking about people suggesting that this is your last fight, you had that in the Harper fight. I think you had that also with the fight with Katie Taylor. But I do want to ask you, where do you go from here? Because here's the thing, I think people underestimated you, maybe thought the Harper fight was a fluke. You come along, you get those scorecards for against Taylor. You're, you know, now people are starting to believe. You're converting the unbelievers. But where do you go from here? go back up to super featherweight, or I'm trying to figure out what you can do from here.
To be honest, I've kind of opened my options to be able to do anything. I can go. I always said anyone between 130 and 140 who's got a belt is in my target. Katie just so happened to be slap bang in the middle. Obviously Terry's out for a long time now.
Yeah.
So that I end up having used, but then that also opens the door to Choi, Hamadouche, Maya, then there's Maselli, I think, at 135. Then you can go up to 140, fight McGee, Linadatu.
Yes. Yeah.
Even if I wanted to go as high as 147 and do and fight McCaskill, that they are the options. I think now I've kind of set the standard that I'm up to a level, and everybody, like you say, everybody agrees now. And it's mad because even though me and Bridges lost, I think our stock's risen.
Yeah. What about, we know that Terry Harper is unfortunately injured, and we wish her well, but it does seem that is that will put her out the ring for maybe 6 months, the rest of the year, whatever. Could you step in and fight Choi in June?
Yeah, definitely not this weekend, but it's definitely, like I said, it's definitely one who's in my eyesight. Super feather is my natural. Well, I wouldn't say natural, but is my weight. I went up to 135 to fight Katie. I could go up again, but 130 is the weight that I want.
So imagine that you get the call up for the Choi fight. Surely, if you win that WBA belt, that puts you, or rises your stock even further. I mean, wouldn't that be just an amazing thing to happen right now?
No, it's definitely a big thing. I've always said I want a belt. I don't think I'll be at peace until I do get one. So yeah, I think that you can't really be avoided if you have got a belt. Right now, I'm a lot of risk for not much reward.
Yeah.
But if you get a belt, obviously the reward's there, so people will be more willing to take the risk. So yeah, I mean, I've got my management company speaking to Matchroom and others about, even putting me in managership positions, about where I can go, what I can do, and there'll be a plan in place, and all I've got to do is just keep winning.
Nice. Close fight Saturday night between Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo. So firstly, I'll want to hear your opinion of the fight.
I thought, I said from the start, if anyone has got a style to cause Canelo problems, it's Billy Joe. Billy Joe is an absolute nightmare, and it's not only in the ring when you're fighting him. How do you get somebody who replicates him for sparring?
Yes.
It must be a nightmare to try and do that. So even your preparations must be hard for Billy Joe. And I thought he was doing really well. Me personally, I had it 4-4 at the time it was ending. I wouldn't have argued with 5-3.
Yeah.
But for me, I thought 4-4 was that's how I scored it. And then just you can see every punch Canelo throws has got venom in it, and he was just missing. Landed a few body shots, just missing, and then boom, it hit, and devastating.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was an amazing fight. It was one of those that, I'm so glad that I stayed up to watch it, number one. And it was one of those fights where, again, he's the underdog. Everyone thinks he can't, step up to the plate. And he was more than stepping up to the plate. I guess, though, that many people who've never cornered a boxer have been critical of Tibbs pulling out Billy Joe Saunders in the 9th round. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it was a great decision by the corner. No boxer wants to be retired, or wants to be stopped, or wants to be knocked out. No boxer wants to lose. No boxer wants to do that. But then, longevity, and you're a long time retired, and to retire with your body intact and all your senses is not something everybody, even getting out the ring is not something that every boxer has had the privilege of doing. So, you know, when I know from my parents, when, you know, their relationship with Joe was that for them, I'm Joe's kid when I'm in there. So treat her like one. And if you think that was your kid being here, take her out. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I see it. I think you know, you sometimes you get too many brave coaches, and you know, and then we criticize referees when they let one shot too many go ahead. So I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, I think it's very, very easy for people to criticize. And unless you've actually been in that situation, got to make a split decision, you know, really quickly. It's like, you know what? At the end of the day, I feel like he did the right thing. I know it's probably hard for you to say, but apparently he's got a triple orbital fracture. Can you see him well, not recovering, but can you see him fighting again after that injury?
I'm not quite sure what the injury that Kell Brook has, but it was similar, wasn't it? I don't know if it was triple one or not, but he came back and forth. You know, Dubois has had something similar. And I think, to be honest, the only reason Billy Joe Saunders has got so much stick is because of the comments he made about Dubois.
Absolutely.
If he hadn't made them comments, people probably wouldn't have said anything. But because he's made them comments like that always come back to bite you, and it has. But I would like to see him back. I think he proved there that he needs the big challenge to bring the best Billy Joe Saunders out. And people doubting him only gives him motivation, a bit like myself. Yeah. So, you know, we after watching Martin Murray, and, you know, it's probably his best performance before that was against what's his name? I can't even remember his name. But it was a little bit of a long time ago, and you watch the Murray fight and you think, how is he beating Canelo? But then, you know, when you're the underdog, when you've got that big stage, when you know the world's watching, you want to bring out the best you and put your best foot forward, and he did. So I would like to see him come back. Hopefully he can recover, and best wishes to him.
I hope he can recover. I really do. There's a fear that that people will target that area, though, every time he fights, which, you know, that's the only fear that I would have.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's always going to be like, sometimes, like when you've had a cut before, you're quite protective that it doesn't reopen. And obviously a cut and an orbital fracture are two different things. But, you know, I'm pretty sure if you like broke your jaw or something, you'd be doing things and taking steps, whether it's a high guard, whether it's clinching down on your gum shield and making sure that it doesn't happen again and stuff. So you know, you're going to have there's going to be a scar left after that, and not just a physical scar inside, whatever. Mental. There's going to be a mental scar of that. And yeah, I just hope, like, obviously physically he recovers.
Yeah. We wish him well. I know you've been pretty vocal about, you know, wages for female boxers. I know it's rude to talk about money, but are the wages going in the right direction, do you feel, for female fighters at the moment?
I think, you know, at the good thing about boxing is at the base level, it's the same. So when I started for Matchroom and when Anthony Fowler started for Matchroom, we were on the same base of pay. Everybody's paid the same. But then they go up to English level and they get paid a little bit more, and they go to European level, they get paid a little bit more, get paid the Commonwealth level, get paid a little bit more, and their increase is a lot higher than ours. So I think Eddie Hearn made a comment not so long ago about women's world title fights are only the same as British level. So we're only paid the same as a British title fight. And how is that? how is that fair? Like, you know, we're talking about moving and progression, and we have come a long way. And, you know, people were saying about mine and Katie's fight, why wasn't it top of the bill? And that shows in such a short space of time how far women's boxing's come. You know, me and Teddy been voted Fight of the Year for the Ring magazine, Round of the Year and everything. So we've showed that women's boxing at its highest level is entertaining, is what the boxing fans want to see. And, you know, there's a whole story and a whole narrative and whatever. It is a product that people want, but why
Absolutely.
aren't they pushing it the same as the male counterparts? Nobody knows. People are talking about increasing rounds because they want to see our skills and whatever on display for longer. They want to see our endurance. They want to see whatever. Okay, but no one wants to talk about whether when we do increase the rounds, are we going to get paid the same?
100%.
No one wants to have that conversation. So, you know, until we have them conversations first, I'm not even willing to accept 3-minute conversations until we talk about the real nitty gritty.
Yeah, 100%. I think that people are confusing the fact that you ladies saying you're not sure you want to fight 3-minute rounds is because you can't do it. And the actual, like you say, the nitty gritty is pay us the right amount of money and then we'll have that conversation later.
Yeah, of course.
Nice. I've heard you've been nominated for the second time for Fight of the Year. Incredible.
I mean, you know, when you want a standout performance or a show saver or whatever you want to call it, Matchroom know I'm their woman.
I like the
you know,
show
you want
saver.
a Fight of the Year contender. I'm there. I'm all up there.
Listen, let's hope you get a little call up soon. Fingers crossed, you might get the Choi fight. You're ready. You stay ready, don't you?
Oh, I'm always ready. I'm always ready.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed. But thanks ever so much for giving us your time.
No problem.